Thank you for staying with us. This is Journalist Hangout. The protest embarked upon by organized labor over prolonged strike by university workers entered day 2 with no sign of resolution in sight. As such, the leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, gave the federal government a 2-week ultimatum to resolve the crisis with the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, or face more serious protests. They also warned that there will be no election in 2023 if government failed to reopen and equip public universities. Meanwhile, Governor of Kano State, Abdullahi Ganduje, urged ASUU to resolve the crisis with government to prevent collapse of the university system in the country. We are just very close to that. And I feel that with Nigerian Labour Congress giving this solidarity match with the Academic Staff Union of Universities, I felt that the federal government should have intensified the process of negotiating with ASUU, and as that was holding, and they should be hearing good news, maybe before they went out on this demonstration, they should have resolved this crisis.
I think that they are not even thinking of having this matter resolved. They are not thinking about it at all. They were more concerned with how the protests will not take place than actually looking at the issues that precipitated the protest in the first place. The minister Ngige came out to say the DSS had released a security report that indicated that it would be dangerous to hold those protests. But what we know is that by law, security agencies are supposed to provide security when the protest is going on. Policemen are supposed to accompany them as they are part to ensure that undesirable elements don't come to disrupt the protest. That is what you should do. It's not for you to be thinking of how the protest will not take place, because you think that if the protest takes place, it sends a direct message. Of course, the Minister of Information then described the protest as illegal. How is the protest illegal? The law permits labor to protest. It permits labor to go on strike. It's one of the options available to labor, to either go on strike or register its displeasure in this manner. And they've conducted themselves in a peaceful manner so far. Nigerians have shown that they want this matter resolved. I'm happy with the governor of Kano. At least the governor came out to say, ASUU, I want you people to do your best to ensure that this whole thing ends in the interest of the education sector. And the governor said he does not agree with the idea of no work, no pay. Because what that one leads to is a hardening of stance.
Exactly.
You are negotiating with people and you have used your greatest weapon. No work, no pay. They will be thinking, okay, since these people don't even want to have, you know, they want to punish us because of this strike. Therefore, we are going to continue with this action. And that's what we have seen. I need the government to take seriously the warning by labor that this could be worse than NSAS if they don't do something about this strike. Students are at home, they are angry. We saw some of them play their part in the Osun election.
Exactly.
People will come up with all kinds of alibi. This is why we lost. This is why we lost. But the anger of the young people, they will not put it there for reasons best known to them.
The status quo.
The anger of the young people voted in that Osun election more than they've ever voted.
Yes.
There were many people who had never voted in their lives who went to get PVC and voted. So there is a need to ensure that anything close to NSAS does not happen. Idle people, they said the idle hand is the devil's bolster. The idle hand is the devil's bolster. There are people who are idle, just roaming the streets. Their schools have been shut.
Yeah,
they are angry. You've extended their stay in school. In these difficult times, if you can spend 4 years in school, you know that you've tried your best. But some people are now being pushed to even spend up to 6 years or more. One boy was describing to me how painful it is. He said that the first job that he could have secured, that they said they needed somebody who is 25. He was
yes,
27.
25, 26,
exactly.
27.
He said he was 27. And due to ASUU strike and all, he had wasted 2 years. So he could have been qualified for that job, if not for ASUU strike.
After finishing school, he will go for NYC 1 year.
1 year.
So he could have been qualified, if not for the strike, because he wasted 2 extra years in school. So that he said, look at this. This is unfair. Now we are seeing the same situation now. The other day, because of COVID, they shut schools. After COVID, there was a strike in 2020. That strike came to an end in December 2020 after the signing of Memorandum of Action. But nothing has taken place by way of implementation of the letters of that Memorandum of Action. Somebody was telling me that a Memorandum of Action is not binding. It's just a statement of intent. Oh, I said, okay. And you want these people to take you seriously. You call a Memorandum of Action something that is not binding. But it was the basis upon which the strike came to an end.
Exactly.
I made commitment. You made commitment in the interest of peace. And now nothing has happened after that. And you are now saying, oh, an MOA is not binding. That's why we are where we are.
That's what, in all this, we still find it that the government security, zero. Now, where are we going to say is the area of strength of this government? If the naira and dollar, if the dollar is 700 and the naira to 700 and something. Now we are talking about education. What is supposed to be the future? Something that any government should invest.
I will not be the government spokesperson here. You know, let them come and tell us what they've done. But in terms of this education, it is a right, not a privilege for all Nigerians. From the day you are born in Nigeria till when you want to, education is a right. In some countries outside, there are some, when you get to age 1 to maybe 14, 15, it's free of charge. You go to school, you don't pay. When you go to university, they give you some subventions for you to go to school. You have scholarship for you. But here in Nigeria, even scholarship is war. We shouldn't be, getting into a position whereby we'll be going on, our tertiary institutions will be on strike at home for 5 good months.
Okay.
And nobody is saying anything.
Ade is calling us from London. Thank you for joining us, Ade.
Yes, how are you today, my brother?
Very well, thank you. Go ahead.
Before I forget, before we finish the program, please sing some of your songs coming out so that can make us happy. My contribution to this issue is that every Nigerian, you start now to be learning how to speak Chinese, because in a few years' time, China might take over Nigeria because of debt.
God forbid.
It's a serious issue. God forbid, we'll be saying. They are working towards it. This government has relaxed. They are not doing anything. They won't do anything because they believe in 6 months' time, election will come. Mark it, they won't do anything. And I'm afraid, with what the president of NSC said, this one will not be more than inside. I'm praying that it should not be more than that. But our government is not doing, our president is enjoy himself now, traveling everywhere. The cabal that...
So, everybody is affected by this strike. Whether you have a brother, you have a sister, you have a niece, If you have a niece,
Julius said yesterday, how many people can afford this private university?
That is what I'm saying.
800,000,
so everybody
1
is
million,
affected.
5 million,
And
2 million.
That is why in the NLC too, they are going on strike and doing this solidarity strike too. This protest.
A lot of them have kids in these schools.
They have children who are in federal universities, in state
and
universities. Because there are some state universities who have joined.
To read medicine, to go to the federal university than private universities.
Of course.
With the teaching hospitals that they have and all that.
Even if you are doing masters, PhD, whatever, you are being affected. Because even now, lecturers have stopped looking at whether you wanted to do defense before this strike. They stopped completely.
No. They've not been paying them.
Why should they look at your papers? So everything has stopped.
Maybe you experience what Demola experienced in Osun State.
A lecturer who has a house,
wanted to release out
he has turned himself into a landlord.
He was begging him that, please, you have to take it.
To take it. You know, because the man has to survive. You know, so we've gotten to a point where our lecturers are even begging to survive now, which is not supposed to be like that.
Wow.
You know, the thing is, my own concern is, you set up on your own, you set up 2 different committees to renegotiate the 2009 agreement. Because, you know, this latest strike is precipitated on just 2 items, 2 demands. They are not even talking about providing money for infrastructure in the schools. Is part of the original demands. But this time around, they said, do 2. If we do 2, we call off the strike. And the 2 demands are IPPIS, replace IPPIS with UTAS, then renegotiate the 2009 agreement. Because it was agreed back then that the 2009 agreement will be periodically renegotiated. Now, government set up 2 different teams to renegotiate. But clearly, what those guys recommended, they are not in agreement with it. You had, I think it was the Minister of Finance who said the other day that they will need more than 500 billion to implement, to meet ASUU's demand, the demand of ASUU. Femi Falana suggested that the president should ask for supplementary budget of 200 billion to meet the needs. Let's look at it this way. You've been on the same salary since 2009 with this inflation and all that.
Hyper.
So,
double digits.
So now, somebody suggested in the recommendation, that's the Neme Briggs, the second team that the federal government consulted, suggested an increase in the wages of professors to the tune of 180%. So by the time they looked at some of those things, they felt, these people will kill us. Where are we going to find the money? But I'm saying that you can still call them instead of leaking the content of an agreement that has not been signed. You can still call these people and say, gentlemen, we are all in this country. We cannot meet this demand, but we can get halfway. At least that way, you know that we will know that you have committed yourself to engaging these people, to finding a solution. And they too will then say, okay, in the light of current realities, we have decided to bend over backward. But to refuse to talk to them and imagine that, okay, you can leave the students to suffer since February, they've been at home. How can you do that? People will ask, is it because your children are not there?
Exactly, that
Very
is it.
sensitive.
Yes, that's what people will say.
Exactly.
And Nigerians will now come and show their pictures, the picture of their children.
Exactly.
Cambridge.
Look at what one lecturer, I think in one of the universities in Bayelsa, was saying, that they should even regulate. He said that they should regulate schooling abroad. That if everybody is attending the same. He said, if the rich and poor go to the same university or institution, I don't think the strike will occur again. If they school here and their children are here, they will show total support for the university system and the tertiary institutions in Nigeria. That's Professor Tombra. And it is true, because they have alternatives. The children can go and school abroad, so nobody cares.
Wow. Asuko, now, way forward. NLC they've joined, and then NLC threatened that, look, that they're going to embark on a full-blown strike if the federal government does not accede to this demand. This is just a protest.
Yes. See, the thing is, if yesterday, most part of Lagos was grounded, most major cities were grounded yesterday because of this protest. And Abuja today, NLC took the protest to the National Assembly. We don't want a situation whereby we have a full-blown protest where the economy that is already on its knees is being affected. So the federal government should call the ASUU, let them look at the memorandum of action, look at it again, sit down, what they can do. If there's money for it, tell them, oh, there's money, this is when we'll pay, this is what we'll do. If it's UTAS that has been the problem, call them, call the NIDAD or whatever they call them. Let them go back. There's nothing that is rocket science in this. If they are making phones for IO, before iPhone will come or Samsung will come and begin to sell.
Before Android came, we were using
we are using Motorola 3310.
And we didn't die.
We didn't die. Then there was no picture, there was nowhere to snap pictures and do selfie. You understand? Until they started modernizing.
From Lagos. Thank you for joining us, Jakub.
And good evening, Mr. Abajide, and the other man in the studio.
Good afternoon. Good evening.
I think NSC still has a long way to go. And then I have reason to say that they should not bow out. They should continue this protest, even though some of us support this government, but we are not support blindly. NSC should do something for Nigeria, because this security that we are talking about, Babajide, even though if the school reopen, and then today they declare schools to close up in Abuja, NSC should be able to protest against that. Failure for the federal government to declare war on some bandits and terrorism, and call for all these external fighters to come and help us to defeat these people. They should protest concern insecurity as well. Failure for the government to call this thing as a war. They should not call that protest off. Thank you, God bless you, Babajide. I really love what you are saying. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So for the UTAS, the NIDAD or whatever they call them, should call the people in ASUU, the professors who brought the system. Sit them down. These were the challenges that we saw in the first, when they met. Okay, how can they stop? Because that is why we have the agency. We don't have agencies for them to be carrying files. We want them to be looking for solutions to technology.
They are the ones who even said, go and look for
alternatives. So they brought
they spent about 30 million to design that alternative.
Exactly. So you've seen the challenges. You that is the agency of government, find how you can solve the problem for them so that we can move forward.
I don't even think that.
We started an intervention.
I don't think they don't want them to use it. At what point did we start hearing that UTAS was bad?
It is when they started.
It was at the point when they decided, that ASUU said that honorary professorship to that minister was wrong. It was at that point that we now started hearing UTAS is bad. That was not what we had before. You cannot, an individual cannot now say because, okay, you can't personalize governance. No. You can't. No. And even this an independent foreign agency can be invited to come and take a look at that.
Look at it.
Is this thing really as bad as is being portrayed? Because we want to solve a problem.
Exactly. It's
we
a
said
big
in
problem.
24 hours.
Is it not still under IPPIS that somebody is accused of stealing more than 80 billion? 80 what billion. Are we talking about?
This same IPPIS.
And you are saying that they must use it,
Okay, and to resolve this quickly, we even called for, the intervention of Mr. President himself. We started that crusade that Mr. President
is yet to listen to us.
So just like
if you sit down there, it can be resolved in 24 hours with his intervention.
That's why we gave the example. Ordinary communal conflicts between Ife and Modaeke, Obasanjo as president had to come in.
Yes, now.
To stop the bloodletting, he had to come in. They were busy killing themselves all over the place like fowl.
Yes.
Obasanjo had to come in. He didn't say, as a
enough
president, my entire constituency is Nigeria. He didn't sit somewhere, or he wasn't banging his lectern to say, no, enough is enough, no more.
No.
He called Ogunsua, the traditional ruler of Modaeke, and the Ogoni. Called them, had meetings with them, long meetings, and they were, at the end of the day, Nigerians saw that the matter was resolved. We didn't know the extent to which they went in finding a solution. It's a solution that we are looking for. Call these people, they are your children.
Exactly.
Call these people, you can't simply ignore what's going on as if you are unaware that some people are suffering. Even those who transact business within university premises, all of them, they are at home.
Yes.
I was in a way.
Of traders, a lot of shops.
Their lives depend on
a lot of these communities. They even depend on commercial activities within the university, the students, the campus shuttles and everything.
Yes.
To,
all those stores now, where do they go?
Paralyzed.
People who sell, in fact, POS business, it thrives within university campuses because parents send money to their...
and then they will go and collect.
Yes, now those ones, since this whole thing began, many of them have nothing to eat. They've left the university campuses.
Quite unfortunate. ASUU James, thank you for your intervention.
Thank you for having me.
Babajide Kolade Otitoju, the master himself, thank you for your intervention always.
Well.
And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. Join us this Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Uzubaku. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.